Welcome to News Mongolia, where we bring you the latest stories and updates from across the nation and beyond. I'm Batsir Namshar. On the News Mongolia today, approximately 650 social workers are working in child and family affairs. Ministry of Education raises concerns about the sharp increase in screen time for children. Legal framework for the entry of foreign labor to be refined. For the news, stay tuned. Amendments to the law on child protection came into effect on September 1, 2024, requiring organizations to establish child protection policies. Provisions have also been made for the appointment of social workers responsible for child and family affairs at the SOM and Horo levels. As of today, approximately 650 social workers specializing in child and family affairs are serving their communities. As of 2024, the Child Helpline 108 Service Center has recorded over 100,000 calls and reports. The majority of these reports involved violations of children's rights, including physical, sexual, and emotional violence and neglect. Experts have expressed concern that most of these cases occur in the home environment. With the recent introduction of more child and family social workers at the SOM and Horo levels, efforts to identify at-risk children and take prompt action are expected to intensify. Although social workers have been working in SOMs and Horos, their numbers have been insufficient, making it challenging to reach all children in need. Working with multidisciplinary teams, social workers provide emergency services to ensure the health and safety of children subjected to violence and abuse. The increase in active social workers is considered crucial for the early detection and prevention of child rights violations.
Child neglect accounts for 40 to 50% of the most prevalent forms of violence. In 2024, 3,482 cases related to child neglect were reported. Weekly data shows that approximately 30 to 40 calls about neglect are received. In terms of affected age groups, younger children are more vulnerable to neglect. I work as a child and family social worker in the 43rd Horo of Seongunhaeun district. Since the beginning of the year, we have received 6 reports in our Horo. Our role is to organize and implement activities to prevent violence and identify children who may be at risk of violence.
Within the framework of the amended law on child protection, comprehensive studies on children will be conducted and children's rights enforcement monitoring will be strengthened. Data will be collected and carefully analyzed, which is expected to significantly facilitate the implementation of these effective measures. In accordance with the amended law on child protection, the government and state administrative bodies are required to approve 14 regulations. Experts believe this will enable the law's comprehensive implementation. The laws, regulations, and the standards for enforcement haven't been fully established. What this means is that there is a lack of clear and detailed regulations. It remains unclear how organizations are expected to operate, who should be involved, and what roles and responsibilities each party should take on. As of today, these issues have not been clearly defined. According to information from the Ministry of Justice and Home Affairs, only 2 regulations have been approved. One of the key provisions in the law on child protection is that healthcare organizations are required to provide assistance and services to children at risk, regardless of their affiliation. The law also stipulates that measures must be taken to assess and monitor at-risk children throughout the school year, which social workers say is an important aspect of the law. The use of digital devices has surged in the past 5 years, raising concerns about screen time for children and online safety. Experts warn of the risks of screen addiction and its impact on mental health, prompting the Ministry of Education to propose banning social media for children under 16. Over the past 5 years, the use of digital devices has increased significantly. Guidelines for the responsible use of digital devices suggest that children should not be exposed to screens before age 2. Children aged 2 to 6 should be limited to 45 to 60 minutes of screen time per day, with each session lasting no more than 15 minutes. For children aged 7 to 13, daily screen time should be limited to 1 hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours and 30 minutes, with each session lasting 20 to 30 minutes. Children aged 13 to 18 should have screen time limit of 2 to 2.5 hours per day, also divided into 20 to 30 minute sessions. For adults over 18, the recommended daily screen time limit is 3 hours, with no session exceeding 1 hour. Teenagers are expected to follow screen time restrictions when using social media. However, studies show that 41% of parents use mobile devices to keep their children occupied, and over 40% of these children are under 6. This long-term behavior could lead to screen addiction.
These days, children spend 2 to 3 hours on their phones whenever they have free time. Outdoor activities and playtime have significantly decreased. Even though there are age restrictions for social media, children simply create fake profiles and increase their age. A 6 or 7-year-old can easily adjust their birth date and access Facebook. This needs to stop. It leads to fatigue and even sleep disorders.
Poor screen time habits can lead to behavioral changes in children, making them more irritable and forgetful, and can even cause a loss of appetite. Over time, these behaviors can develop into disorders requiring medical intervention. The number of children receiving psychological counseling of screen addiction has increased, with many needing regular therapy.
Some children who receive inpatient treatment initially seem to gain control of their screen time addiction. However, environmental influences or personal struggles can lead to relapse, requiring them to return for further treatment or counseling. Repeat consultations and therapy sessions have become more frequent.
Authorities are receiving increasing complaints about videos and games on social media. Experts stress the urgent need to remove harmful content that sets a bad example for teenagers. Mongolian teenagers, especially young girls and boys, are at high risk of exposure to inappropriate and offensive content online. The Communications Regulatory Commission is working continuously to remove such material and, if necessary, to completely shut down harmful accounts. Measures are being taken in real time to address these concerns as quickly as possible. Experts warn that without strict age regulations for social media use, cybercrime rates will not decrease and children's mental health will continue to suffer. The Ministry of Education plans to submit a bill or a stronger regulation in the upcoming parliamentary session. Under the proposed legislation, children under 16 would be prohibited from using social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitter. To put it simply, children should not have social media accounts until they graduate from middle school. They can start using social media once they enter high school at 16. This is the kind of regulation we are currently researching. Social media companies must cooperate with us. Countries like Australia have already implemented similar measures, and Mongolia should follow suit to protect its children as early as possible. Several countries have already implemented similar restrictions, which have led to positive change. Last November, Australia passed a law prohibiting children under 16 from accessing social media. This has resulted in a decline in cybercrime rates. Mongolia plans to finalize the bill within a year, with the goal of having it approved in the autumn parliamentary session. If passed, the new regulations could take effect by the next academic year. You're watching News Mongolia. Now let's take a look at Mongolia's current affairs.
On March 28, the Immigration Agency of Mongolia, the Ministry of Family, Labor and Social Protection, and the General Agency for Labor Welfare Services organized a meeting to discuss challenges related to the entry of foreign labor into Mongolia, streamlining the work permit process, and enhancing coordination between organizations. Chairman of the Immigration Agency of Mongolia, Oğanbayır, emphasized that with the government's 14 mega projects designed for economic expansion, there is a growing need for foreign experts and specialists. He also noted that the peak season for recruitment in sectors linked to construction has begun, requiring close and flexible cooperation between organizations. The head of the Immigration Agency highlighted that an e-visa system was introduced in 2021 to attract foreign investment and promote tourism. However, as the issuance of tourist visas has increased, more enterprises and organizations have been employing foreign nationals without obtaining the necessary permits. Over the past year, these violations have risen as companies seek to avoid employment-related fees. The situation is partly due to the complex, time-consuming, and costly process of obtaining work and residency permits. The meeting's participants agreed to refine the legal framework for the entry of foreign labor, explore the possibility of implementing a tiered employment fee system, and integrate preliminary work permits issued by the General Agency for Labor Welfare Services into the Unified Visa, Registration and Information Database. The National Agency for Meteorology and Environmental Monitoring of Mongolia reported that the green areas of Ulaanbaatar are at very high and high levels of fire risk. Due to the increased risk of wildfires, the use of forest resources, hiking, traveling, large gatherings, and open fires in the city's green areas are prohibited under the Ulaanbaatar Governor's Decree No. A373 on measures to prevent forest and steppe fires. Access to green areas will be restricted from March 28 to June 10th and from September 20th to November 10th. According to the National Emergency Management Agency, 32 calls about grass fires have already been registered in Ulaanbaatar this year.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast for Mongolia and the world major cities. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Goodbye.